Chapter 18 Shadow of a Doubt. The quiet rumble of an engine greeted you as his eyes flared open. A sea of blue surrounded him. Blue leather seats, blue curtains over the limousine windows, blue lights gleaming above, blue tinted displays housing wine glasses and bottled liqueur. The tablecloth, and of course Marie's hat and Margaret's dress all messed together, drawing you closer. If he was here in his dreams, this had to be serious. Oddly, Marie gazed listlessly out of the window on the left, while Margaret greeted him with a smile and a quiet nod. Igor chuckled, resting his chin on top of folded hands. An unexpected change of fate has finally taken form. I wonder if you noticed. You cupped his chin in hand, his face slightly downturned. Something's awful for Ketchy. As soon as he spoke, Marie squeaked. Suspicious. He knew what the TV world looked like, without getting a full description. Teddy had snacks when we went in there, and there was a weird burn on the scaffolding. Ah, what keen observations. Igor practically purred. It pleases me to see that you've already developed such sharp intuition. But if I'm not mistaken, the bear had an explanation for these oddities. Yeah, I should buy the snacks coming from the shopping district. Maybe. But I don't see how making glasses could cause that kind of damage. And what are the shadows? Is it not possible that one wandered out there? Teddy was fine. Feels like he would have told us if it was that simple. Perhaps so. It is a curious thing, is it not? I'd like to hear your current line of deduction. It felt like Igor already knew what you was going to say. His kind but piercing stare, with those beating pupils and lightly bloodshot eyes, certainly classed with his soothing voice. Still, in the brief time you had gotten to know Igor, he more than proven himself trustworthy despite his cryptic tendencies. Best to cut to the chase. Is it possible he got the power? He already got info from Chie and Yukio, so he knew Teddy would be there. The snacks could have been a gift. The burn mark, I don't know. Some kind of weapon? But who would sell a weapon to a kid? What if died are on metalworks? Said Margaret. Your friends use his services with little trouble. Yeah, but those are swords, knives, and shoes. Nothing that could leave burn marks. And with Japan's strict gun control, it seemed doubtful that a middle schooler like Akechi could easily acquire something so dangerous. Margaret's eyes fluttered shut as she lifted her chin, smiling. The TV world is an interesting place, shaped by dreams and desires. It's possible its nature provided him with a means to fight, if he was there at all. For saying reason, Marie bit her lower lip, gripping her skirt, crumpling in the process. This was enough to pull Yu's focus away from the others, and he spoke to her in a soft, non-threatening tone. Hey, Marie, you okay? She straightened enough, forcing a smile so stiff he could call her bluff before she even spoke. It's fine, I'm fine, totally great, yeah. That's basically an admission that you're not fine. Her cheeks puffed up and reddened a little. No, it's not! Stupid nutty jerk! Do pardon Marie's temper, said Igor. In light of recent events, there's a chance you may be seeing her less frequently in the Velvet Room. Time will tell, of course, but there's a pertinent task that awaits her, should everything fall into place. You still get to see her, of course, Margaret added. She seems to enjoy your outings together. Hey, that's none of your... Marie started, but Margaret's warm chuckle cut her off. There's so much for her to learn. The book seed helps broaden her horizons, but tangible, interpersonal experiences are just important to her growth. Marie crossed her arms, grumbling. It's fun. Just don't get the wrong idea. You're still no girlfriends. Margaret covered her mouth to stifle a giggle. To Igor's credit, he maintained his composure despite a slight twitching at the corners of his mouth. He spoke calmly. I will say one last thing. Whatever comes next, it is pertinent that you have patience. He is a volatile part surrounded by walls. Though the walls may bear a few cracks, they will remain. Handle with care, dear boy, and Akechi and perhaps you will find him an irreplaceable ally. If not, I fear for his future. Akechi slept like a rock. Then again, perhaps this was to be expected after his first venture into the TV world. Nonetheless, he rose early to the sound of birds twittering outside. A cursory glance across the room revealed that Hugh remained dozing quietly on his side. Fortunately, with no school today, Akechi had plenty of leeway on how to plan his movements. However, with no guarantee he had the TV to himself, he needed to act fast. Best to get his visit over before the rest of Hugh's merry band got any ideas. So he tiptoed over to his drawer to fish out his glasses and a change of clothes for the day. The green-collared shirt would pair rather well with his almond blazer and khakis. So he draped the clothes over one shoulder and his school bag over the other. He unzipped his bag to double-check his toy gun was still there. Then slipped downstairs after making sure to close the door very slowly to avoid making a sound. Although it'd be a shame to miss out on a fresh breakfast, he settled for reheating some leftover curry, alongside a piece of toast. He even left a note on the table that said, "Meeting someone this morning. Had to toss the leftovers." As for the promised snacks, he glanced up at the cupboards, but ultimately turned the other way. If he raided the pantries, it'd be far too suspicious. He still had a fair share of allowance to work with. So he stepped out before a long, firing a text at Kanzi on the way. Going to meet the bear before Norakami and his friends get any ideas. Want to meet after? I should have your glasses. The lack of immediate response suggested Kanzi was fast asleep. So Akechi flipped his phone shut and continued down the road, basking in the quiet sounds of birdsong and breathing in the fresh morning air. First stop on the list? The Suroku store. Just in case Hanamura was on the shift at Junes. He passed the particularly vacant gas station. Saw no sign of Marie outside the bookstore, but then his eyes met with another's and he froze. It was a slightly older boy, with black messy hair, a bright orange shirt and blue jeans, and hollow black eyes that gave Akechi goosebumps. Though Akechi kept his best poker face and attempted to walk by, the boy glared, stopping forward. "What are you looking at? You got a problem?" Akechi merely shrugged. "I could ask you the same thing. You're the one who took a simple glance as a microaggression." The boy's eyes twitched. His fist balled up, his nose wrinkled, and his face contorted to a snarl. "Well, excuse me. Everyone in this damn town's so excited we got murder around, and the police can't even do their jobs. I don't need snot-nosed kids like you acting so high and mighty." "I'm literally just passing through." Akechi tried walking past him, but the boy kept shrieking like an absolute idiot. "I bet that king moron did! That bastard's always acting like he's the real shit. I've seen those Rosette magazines sticking out of his pocket, you know, and they let him teach at school, and I'm the problem." There was, quite frankly, a lot to unpack here. Much more than Goro Akechi, a little 12-year-old, was qualified to deal with. Yet an interesting question arose, and the implications of a predatory man were never a welcome one. So Akechi stopped, peering back at the boy. "And who is King Moron?" "What, you don't know?" The kid scoffed, then sighed very loudly. "Right, middle schooler. Aren't you lucky?" More sneering. "How pleasant. I'm talking about Kenshiro Moroka over at Yasukami High. Freaking bastard acts high and mighty, like he's so much better than everyone else." Akechi brought a hand to his chin. "And I'm assuming you two don't have a pleasant history?" Boy looked away, posture tight and tense. Drew his arms close to his chest in a clearly guarded fashion. Subtlety was clearly not a strong suit. "What do you care? It's none of your business." "And yet you seem eager to vent about it." "Don't need a smart-ass kid like you telling me." "Very well, I'll get out of your hair." Akechi stride past him, even as he continued rambling on and on about how nobody gets it. Dumb kids think they know everything, and other eye-rolling remarks. This had delayed Akechi long enough, so when he finally reached the Soroku store, he ducked aside with a polite smile and greeting, and immediately beelined for the snacks. Ultimately, Akechi fetched a mostly fuwa pancake and an onigiri. Simple, but more importantly, something different to diversify Teddy's taste. Sure, it was ultimately a smaller concentration of food than another box treat. Perhaps it would prove useful in future negotiations, so bribery remained a necessary step. All that remained was to grab a small package of disposable face mask. Thankfully, the walk to the Junez Electronics department proceeded without an ear-graying air rustins from overly opinionated teens. It was nearly enough in the morning that the store was relatively quiet, and as Akechi slid through the doors, he smiled at cashiers and employees on the floor, but otherwise kept moseying along. Once he reached the TV screen, he slid his glasses along with one of the newly acquired face masks. Then, after looking down behind him to assure the coast was clear, he launched head first into the TV, falling down, 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 and landed right on top of Teddy, who squeaked and flailed at the sudden impact. Hey! Despite his initial protests, when Akechi rolled off of him and extended a hand to help him up, Teddy's big, cartoonist eyes popped wide open, accompanied by a wide grin. Haki-chan, you came! I promised, didn't I? Akechi faked a tender smile before rifling through his bag, revealing the first of the snacks on the pancake. As promised, I brought you 2 snacks courtesy of the Soroku store. I withdrew the onigiri next, but waited before handing the other off. Now then, do you have Kanji-san's glasses ready? Yep. Teddy reached behind his back and then unveiled a stylish pair of shades with small oval-shaped lenses and thin, black frames. What you think? Are these cool enough for a big, tough guy like Kanji? I think they suit him rather well. Well, a deal was a deal. Akechi passed off the pancake in order to accept the shades, then handed out the onigiri for good measure. Teddy's grin only grew, and he swiftly tore into the pancake's plastic packaging, took a big bite and moaned happily, it's so sweet inside. It's soft. Yummy. Damn it. Was that actually adorable? Yes. Akechi didn't even mean to chuckle, but it happened all the same. Stupid bear. I'm glad it's to your liking. Admittedly, I had to go to the convenience store snacks, since they're all about all I can afford with my weekly allowance. You spent your money on me? Oh no. Teddy's eyes sparkled. Somehow, inexplicably, he sparkled too. Why was this happening? Now those same sparkly eyes gushed with tears. Aki-chan, you're so nice! Nice. Wasn't how Akechi would describe himself. He looked away to hide a wince, but thankfully it was fleeting. Snacks do have to come from somewhere. Unfortunately, I can't cook the way Narukami-san can, and I'm too young to seek employment. It'd be rather inconvenient anyway, what with my studies in a murder case. Hey, about that! Tay smiled, tear closely to a seesaw. Sensei and the others were thinking about getting you and Kaji up to speed. All we gotta do is find a nice, safe place without too much shadow activity, get your shadow to come out, and then we accept our shadows, gain our personas, and proceed from there. Akechi held a hand on his hip, smirking. Well then, any recommendations? Well, there is that shopping district place. Teddy paused to nibble on his pancake. But I don't know if we should right now. If you're by yourself, it could get very dangerous. At least I'm armed. Akechi took out his toy gun and attempted to twirl around like a sharpshooter in a Western film. It sort of worked, even if almost, but only almost, fumbled in the process. But fair enough. A quick glimpse then, just to see what to expect. I guess that wouldn't be too bad, but just a little look. Teddy leaned forward, putting his hands on his hips while he pouted. Maybe it was an attempt at a scowl, undercut by how soft the cartoony his features were. Sensei would kill me if anything happened to you. How very irresponsible. Ugh, the pun was still so painful, but it remained an effective way to stay in Teddy's good graces, judging by the way his face lit up, and he giggled. I wish the others liked puns as much as you, Aki-chan. You're a natural. With Teddy at the lead, the two of them meandered down one of the catwalks. The looming scaffolding and the glaring large stay lights soon gave way to winding streets and familiar shops nestled along the roadside. Everything from the Moel gas station to the samurai armor outside the Daedra Metal Works remained exactly as it should have. Vending machines rested against buildings, and the small table and plastic crates outside the Sozai Daigaku offered a comfortable place to sit and snack, were it not for the shuttered front window. But an oppressive red and black sky beat down upon him, and a yellow hue tinted everything. Cracks cut through the asphalt, burn marks blemished the fences. Otherwise, Akechi might have questioned if he was still in the TV world at all. Remarkable. Looks almost identical to the real shopping district. I wouldn't know. A tiny frown crossed Teddy's face, and he took another nibble. I've only ever seen this side. Interesting. Ever thought about crossing over to the other side? This was a terrible idea. You can only imagine the reactions from the general populace if a random mascot creature just jumped out of the TV screen. Well, he could always be a cute Bishonen. Yet oddly, Teddy dropped. Sure, but I can't. Maybe it's because I'm empty inside. If I was a person, I might be easier. You're empty? How strange. Teddy sighed, reaching for the zipper around his head. Yeah, take a look. He unzipped and lifted his head back with one of his hands, which made Ketzy step back. Jaw gaped as a pitch black void greeted him. Thankfully, Teddy zipped his head back up within seconds. It's okay if you think it's creepy. The others thought it was weird too. It was creepy, but that went unsaid. Instead, Ketzy shook his head. It's different, but I don't mind. If nothing else, I could say you're the first you I've ever met. Teddy still waited, looking down at his half-eaten pancake. I don't know what I am. I just know I've always lived here. Interesting. Ketsy's eyes narrowed and he stroked his chin. I know someone who's very similar. Perhaps I can introduce you. He wasn't entirely sure why he was offering, but it wasn't as though befriending Teddy was his goal, yet words rolled off his tongue so effortlessly. Effectively, too, judging by the way Teddy gazed up at him with a little O-shaped mouth. Really? You do that? He paused. Wait, maybe that's not such a good idea. We don't want to drag too many people down here. True. Marisa may be a special case. She's not exactly human either, even if she looks the part. Teddy shuffled closer with squeaky footsteps. Oh, Emmy-chan! Is she a cutie? Oh dear. He waggled his eyebrows. Well, suddenly he had. Somehow that felt even stranger than the sparkles. So strange that Ketty clapped his palm over his face. Have a bit more dignity, Teddy-san. Women don't like it when you come onto them so strongly. They don't? Teddy jerked all over again, once again wearing that puppy-like pout. But how am I supposed to score with Chie-san and Yuki-chan if... Oh, for the love of... Okay, discomforting intervention. Not a scathing one, but... Akechi slowly inhaled, then let it all out. He smiled despite the simmering heat inside him. Teddy-san, your goal with women should never be to score. Scoring is objectifying. It doesn't regard their feelings or boundaries. It can cause dire consequences. Really? Oh, that quivering lip only intensified Teddy's kicked puppy look. It was so pathetic. Yet for some reason still sung, But Yuki-chan's so pretty! And Chie-chan's a cutie pie. They get to know them as friends. You are entitled to her affection. That's their choice. Why was Akechi giving romantic advice to a mascot bear? Why was his life spiraling into such an absurd direction? As they continued down the street, the entire shopping district remained so calm, mundane even, at least until a strange rippling opening in place of the Konanishi liquor store caught his eye. It was black and red, just like the sky, and just like the entrance to Yukio's castle. So I guess he stepped closer, until Teddy wobbled his way and spread his arms. We shouldn't go any further today. You might lure out the shadows. Oh, he has, said a voice from between the shots that made Aketsu's heart drop. A voice familiar, near identical to Aketsu's, were it not for the honey-sweet inflections. Aketsu whipped toward the alley, gripping his blaster tight. So you arrived. Oh, no! Teddy grabbed Aketsu's wrist, tugging it back. We should get out of here. And whatever you do, don't tell it's not you, okay? That's what makes him go bear crazy. The figure in the alley sighed. Teddy-kun, relax. I'm not here for a fight. If anything, it's good to see Goro making connections. Akechi tugged his hand free from Teddy's grip, stomping closer to the alley. He kept his gun raised, even though his hand trembled. Through the darkness, it was difficult to make out a shadow, save for the glint of golden eyes and the fake shape of a figure leaning against the wall with his arms and legs crossed. Aren't you supposed to be my dark side? His shadow laughed. Though instead of a venomous condensation, it seemed like light, fluttering amusement. Don't take Yukun's words at face value. He was going off of one shadow. The feelings one represses can vary dramatically. For instance, his shadow dashed out of the alley so fast, Akechi could make out only a blur of white, red, and gold. When he spoke again, his voice came from behind Akechi. You struggle accepting that others care about you, and you care about them too. I understand, of course. It feels too good to be true. Akesi's throat constricted, mouth suddenly dry. His breath hitched, his whole body locked up tight. Teddy closer with squeaky steps. Hey, it's okay, Aki-chan. We might not know each other very well, but I think you're super nice. He can be, if he allows himself. The shell passed by again, shooting up and up. Akechi tried to follow his movements, only to find himself craning his neck towards the liquor store's roof. But you must understand, Teddy-kun. We suffered so much despair, and only now is there a glimmer of hope for our future. This wasn't right. Why was Akechi Shao being so nice, so casual, so open? What if it said too much? He couldn't say it wasn't him. If Teddy said it was dangerous, then that was that, especially given the other's testimony. But why here? Why now? He wasn't ready to face a shadow like this. But Teddy, ever the optimist, said, "Oh, hey, this is great, Aki-chan. If your shadow's already so nice, then all you gotta do is accept it and blammo! One persona coming up!" Better hurry, Goro. A strange, gold grumbling all around. The shadows from the alleys and between gaps in the buildings rushed out all at once. Creepy blue mask with empty, dead eyes gazed at Akechi and Teddy. Gulping, Akechi raised his quivering gun, his finger to the trigger. The shadows burst out all at once, rippling and meddling into giant floating orbs, or grinning maws, staggering tongues, and the air crackled with energy. Over the encroaching swarm, a barrage of purple orbs burst to life, cleaving through the monsters before Akechi could fire a single shot. Top it all off, the same white, red, and golden blur pummeled down to the struggling swarm, dashing and slashing, following it up with an eruption of golden light. As Akeshi's shadow landed, the red cape on his back swished. A princely white suit covered him, golden impulse, the matching golden belt, white gloves, and black dress shoes. At his left hand, he clutched a gleaming blue laser sword. He flashed a grin and winked at Akechi. This is just a taste of the power we hold in our heart, Goro. You accept me now, I'll become your persona. You can join the others in pursuing the truth. It sounded all so simple. I guess he just had to accept it. He had to accept that this kind, dapper, calm, open person was a part of him, that he just wanted more friends. Really? But I guess he squeezed his eyes shut tightly. He gulped. Was that how he really felt? His Shao smiled wryly over his shoulder, shaking his head. I figured it wouldn't be that simple. You're scared. You don't want to be hurt again. His words were so soft, so tender, so agonizingly understanding. Akechi so desperately wanted to scream that he wasn't scared. But no, that would aggravate his shadow, wouldn't it? And he was alone. All he had was his laser gun. His shadow just took out multiple enemies in a dazzling display of magic and acrobatics. Akechi couldn't beat something like that. So he backed away, step by step. Pathetic. How could he be so weak, so cowardly? Teddy whimpered, Aki-chan. His shadow smile died, and his voice grew cold. Get him out of here, Teddy-kun. He's not ready yet, and I don't want him saying something he'll regret. Just like that, Akechi starts forward, snarling, You! But Teddy grabbed his wrist and took off running. Come on, Aki-chan! No getting mad at the nice shadow! As Teddy dragged Akechi further and further away, his shadow watched with his free hand resting on his hip. I'll be waiting, Goro. Please don't make this any harder than it has to be. The shopping district blurred. Akechi's heart hammered frantically. By the time he skidded back to the central hub, Akechi shambled to one of the metallic ladders and leaned his frame as he gasped for breath. Slowly, in and out, he breathed. He rubbed his temple and desperately grappled what had just transpired. Then Teddy had to waddle closer, nibbling on the onigiri. Hey, Aki-chan! Are you okay? Akechi needed to regain his composure. He had to relax. This was fine. He was fine. Everything was. Teddy frowned. That shell's really different from all the others. I've never seen one so nice before. Too nice. It has to be a trick. Teddy wobbled in what Akechi could only guess was an attempt at shaking his head. I don't think so. Shadows are the feelings you tried to hide. They aren't kind of beings that would lie or trick you. But He needed an excuse, some justification. He couldn't say his shadow wasn't him. I guess he knew that. But why? Why was it so pleasant, so generous? I guess he expected a ruthless, violent, and angry entity. What he got was nothing like that. Aki-chan, what's wrong with being friends? If that's the side of you that you hide, you must be very lonely. Damn it! So freaking vulnerable, too vulnerable. All Ketsi could manage was a pitiful friends turn on you, abandon you, hurt you. He couldn't meet Teddy's eyes as his arms wrapped tightly around his torso. And of course, Teddy remained close because he couldn't leave well enough alone. Well, I wouldn't hurt you. You came here and got me nice snacks. You didn't push me around or call me weird, and I even kept your secret, just like we promised. Ha! How funny, considering that Akechi knowingly manipulated Teddy for his own gain. Yet his shadow was so pristine. What a joke. Akechi pushed away from the ladder, his movements sluggish and lethargic. Teddy-san, I should probably go for now. I need time to think. He approached the center of the room, but the exit TVs weren't there. By the way, could you do me a favor? Sure, anything for you, Aki-chan. Can you leave the exit TVs here? I worry that someone could end up falling down here without way out. It's beneficial to leave the exit point open as a precaution. Oh, that's a good idea. And if somebody got kidnapped and found their way back here, they'd be able to go home too. Precisely. We want to mitigate the chance of deaths. It's just the most logical approach. Okie dokie. Teddy snapped his fingers, and the exit TVs dropped back into place in a puff of smoke, just like before. Just try not to worry too much, okay? Now you know your sounds like you got an idea to process everything. I may need a few days. Will you be all right by yourself? Damn it! He was doing it again, being so soft. Not that Teddy seemed to care, as he beamed as if he weren't on an issue at this at all. Yep, you focus on figuring out your feelings, and don't worry about little old me. Again with the feelings talk. Well, whatever. I guess he flashed his best smile and dragged himself towards the exit TVs. Take care, Teddy-san. Briefly, the world stood still once again, and a simple echo in his mind confirmed. Star, rank 2. So what determined these ranks? Dojima was rank 4 already. So was it a matter of closeness? If so, how did the others compare? Perhaps that was a question saved for another day. When Akechi burst from the screen, he landed with an awkward flop down to the floor, just as he pressed himself back on his feet. Familiar voices reached his ears. So, Igor wanted to keep an eye on Akechi, huh? Yeah. Before you got here, I remember him mentioning the name. I just didn't realize it was Hellboy until he gave me his name. Shit! Akechi tore off his glasses and slipped into his pocket alongside Kanji's pair. He smoothed his hair down and sauntered up to them as nothing was wrong. Isn't it rude to gossip about people when they might be listening? Marie squeaked and spun a hill. Don't scare me like that! Sneaky little punk. Hugh, meanwhile, watched him closely. You got a face mask on. What's that about? Damn it! Guess you forgot to remove the mask. Thankfully, said mask concealed at least a part of its grimace. He had to brush off Hugh's suspicion, chin up and shoulder square. Precaution, mostly, in case I'm carrying some malignant bug. I'd rather not infect the general public. Marie looked him over, squinting. I don't see any bugs. I mean diseases, Marie-san. Bug is just another way to refer to sickness. I was feeling a bit fatigued yesterday. Come to think of it, the mask seemed to help a bit. Or at least he wasn't coughing, nor did chills nibble at his spine. Hugh looked him over some more, chin in hand, while the fingers of his other hand drummed at his hip. You do look kind of sweaty. Everything okay? What? Guess he read a hand down his cheek and, drat! Must have been the stress. He couldn't say it was the heat. The store was air conditioned, but maybe. Oh, I went for a morning jog. Kazi-san wants me to build my endurance after all. So you ran all the way to Junes? Something about Yu's voice felt, well, not quite dry. Not exactly soft either. He maintained an excellent poker face, however. So Akechi played along. Yes. I didn't want to go too crazy, since I'm still not sure if I'm sick. He rolled his shoulders in a casual shrug. But I see you brought Marisa with you again. Oh yeah, she wanted to take a look around Junis. He glanced at her, chuckling. Couldn't get enough of it last time, huh? I barely got to see anything last time. Marie pouted across her arms. But Hellboy gave me money to buy fruit. It was pretty good. I still don't get why they have time sales, why people get so worked up over salad dressing. I guess he found himself thankful for the mask, and the way he could see at least some of his scowl, fighting to claim his face. He just took a long way to try and regain his composure. Marie was his associate after all. He put it on salads to add more flavor, Marie-san. Some people simply don't care for raw vegetables. How about I treat you sometime? He said with a most dazzling smile. It was a cartoon, his teeth would surely sparkled. I gotta do a lot of cooking anyway, so it's no big deal. Platonically, I guess he said flatly. Was it turn squeezed a laugh from you? Yeah, you don't have to tell me twice. Okay, what's all the giggling about? T.A. said with a shrill voice as he sauntered up to their growing group, looking over everyone. Oh, I guess he could, and... His face crinkled up, only for a moment. Wait, weren't you that girl who was with him a few weeks ago? Bree ducked her head, fiddling with her shoulder bag strap. Yeah. She was trying and failing to play ninja. Guess he smirked, already anticipating a postally explosive reaction. No, it wasn't. Just in time. I was doing stuff. Secret stuff I can't talk about. Like a ninja, you said, nodding silently. You're so weird. Marie pouted at you and Akechi. But what about you, Green? Why do you buy the TVs? Well, I thought about seeing if you can wanted to, she cracked a sniff. Toofy outside a grin. Do something that's also secret and may or may not involve television. He knows about the other side, Akechi said. Marie-san is a lot like... No, he couldn't mention Teddy. A lot like the fox at the shrine. Mysterious, potentially supernatural. She's also lost her memories, so I expect you both to be on your best behavior around her. She ate lightly at the comment. Aw, such a gentleman, Akechi-kun. Gentleman. His mind flashed back to his shadow, with that dazzling smile, that confident wink, the twist of his cape as he landed upon devastating their attackers. Akechi averted his eyes again to hide his frustration. I'm flattered, Chie-san, but I wouldn't go that far. I just know from experience that Marie-san is still learning. I'd rather Narukami-san not corrupt her with his ridiculous antics. It's okay, Marie said. If he annoys me, I just go back to the room. But you, she made a face, still owe me one of those games, like that chess one you talked about. You and T.A. both stared at each other. She bit her lip and snored, like she was about to burst out laughing again. Tetsu sighed. Chess, Marie-san. If you want to play it, these are still board games around their toy department. I presume you still have funds from Margaret? Marie only gave the others a passing glance before she rolled her eyes and set her sights slowly on Ketchy. Yeah, I do. Excellent. Do you want to find a box with a checkerboard pattern, black and white pieces, including some that have crowns, some that are shaped like horses? Can't you just ask her? You asked. Interrupt your outing? I wouldn't dream of it, Narukami-san. Besides, there's something I need to deliver to Kazi-san. A frown slipped across T.A.'s lips. Dang, you're leaving already? Apologies, T.A.-san. Although, if you'd rather wait, Marie-san, I'll always show you where to find the game later. Something we should probably discuss anyway. Hmm, yeah, guess that works. Feel weird taking no girlfriends in green to get something we're going to do together. T.A. brought a hand over her mouth, snickering. Wow, do I even want to know? Oh, it's quite the story, Akechi-san said, smirking beneath his mask. Go ahead, Narukami-san. Why not give her the full details? I'm sure it'll be a laugh. You held up his hands, slumping into an obviously fake pout. Sorry, Chie, I can't date girls. Hellboy's orders. Akechi scowled. You are allowed to call me that. This, for some reason, squeezed more chuckles out of Chie. God, you two really are like brothers. More like desperate roommates, Akechi said, in a desperate bid to banish that particular thought from his mind. At any rate, I wish you all the best. He quickened his pace, refusing to look back, lest he get further entangled in that weird brand of shenanigans. He didn't need that with his shadow still so fresh in his mind, with that stupid smile and softness to his words, and his insistence that Akechi let the power of friendship wash over him like some sacrilegious baptism. Still, there was at least one person he could trust with friendship, so he sent Kanchi another text on the way out the door. I received the glasses. Is this a good time? Luckily, Kazi responded swiftly. Sure, where do you want to meet? Sosai Daigaku? I didn't eat much this morning. I could use a snack.
Damn, then we better fix that. I'll be there in a flash.
They met up, just as he planned, with Kanji already ordering 2 helpings of steak skewers. The sight and sense of fresh cooked meat made Akechi's mouth water. It wasn't long before he started chowing down, driven purely by some ravenous primal desire. Kanji watched with a faint smirk.
Run straight to dinner, didn't you?
Akechi swallowed a bite, and then nodded. I wanted to beat Narukami-san to the punch. Good thing, too, because he and Marie-san were to approach the electronics department, just as I emerged from the TV screen.
Shit, man, that's a good time.
I know. Ketchy heaved a heavy sigh, then passed Kanzi his new shades. But as promised, here's a fresh pair of TV glasses. Kanzi set his gear down, taking the glasses into his hands and rotating them slowly as gasped.
Whoa, there's shades?
I thought I was shooting you. Is that acceptable?
Hell yeah, accessible.
He slid them on, grinning.
How do I look?
Ketchy didn't even hesitate to say, cool, as you should. Certainly better than the goofy pair you made me wear as part of our bargain. He stopped, smacking a hand over his face. Bargain. Damn bear fetching me with his giant puns. Hansi snored, raising an eyebrow. I guess he half expected him to bring out the pun, but instead he just said,
How goofy are we talking?
swirly eyes, large nose, and a moustache. I guess he rubbed his forehead and shut his eyes. Every bit as ridiculous as it sounds. I wanted to be pleasant as possible to ensure smoothest negotiations.
Hey, it seems like it paid off.
Despite the initial enthusiasm, he quieted for a moment and watched Akechi closely.
So everything okay?
Akechi just propped his cheek up with one hand, staring at the skewer. Why do you ask?
I I don't know, you seem a little tense.
Mind if we pin a pin on that until after we eat? I think a jog up the hill might help me collect my thoughts first.
I mean, sure. I don't know if we should be running after a meal. You can get credits for doing that.
A leisurely stroll then.
Yeah, that works.
Once they finished their skewers, the two of them made their way toward the hill. Even if they weren't running, it was still a good exercise, at least. Sounds really quiet, too. As it seemed Kanzi was curious enough to give Akechi time he needed to formulate his thoughts. Once they had reached the top of the hill, the two of them sat down and covered the picnic table. Only then did Kanzi finally break the silence.
Okay, kid, what's going on?
Akechi hesitated, cringing at the memory. I saw my shadow today. Kanzi told it up straight, eyes high in alarm.
No kidding.
Correct. But it wasn't what I expected. Kanzi slaps, fingers tapping at the table.
Good kind of surprise or bad kind of surprise?
I don't know. Akechi turned around, pressing his back against the table and watching the clouds roll by. I assumed it would be something fierce, a manifestation of my anger, my resentment, my bitterness, but no. Quite the opposite, actually.
Oh, yeah?
It was friendly. Too friendly.
Well, what's wrong with that? There'd be something nasty, right?
That's the problem, Kazi-san. Nastiness I can handle. This is... He gulped, shoulders hunching and hands wriggling painfully tight. He's too open, too sincere. The confidence with which he speaks his mind is just as unsettling as it is insulting.
I'm starting to get the picture.
Kazi walked around the table, taking a seat beside Akechi.
Feels too good to be true.
It's pathetic. He didn't attack. He didn't goad me on. If I had accepted him, I would have my persona. He practically came gift wrapped for me. I couldn't swallow my pride and accept the things he said about me.
Man, wish that I'd been there to help.
Well, I wasn't alone. Teddy-san was there too, but... Well, perhaps with Kanzi it was okay to admit it. After a moment's hesitation, he met Kanzi's gaze. You're my friend. Teddy-san is an acquaintance who is far too trusting for his own good. Kanzi folded his arms, fingers drumming on his biceps.
Say, about how many people would you consider friends?
That was a loaded question, to say the least. So loaded it took Akechi several moments to respond. I have you and Nanako-chan.
That's it?
Tajima-san's my guardian. Marie-san, Chie-san, and Amagi-san are pleasant enough. But I don't dislike any of them. Teddy-san is unsufferably friendly. Well, I suppose I could say he's a nice enough person if you ignore his strange fixation on scoring with girls.
But you don't consider them friends.
There's no trace of judgment in Kazi's voice. He spoke calmly, even his face remained surprisingly relaxed, save for the faintest of frowns. It made it so much easier to speak honestly. Friendship is difficult, Kaji-san. When you open yourself to others so genuinely, it's all too easy for them to take advantage of you.
Yeah, I get that.
You gain stuff at the horizon and the winding road below.
Had my share of bullies growing up because of my hobbies. Guess you had to deal with a ton of crap too.
As painful as it was to admit, that goes without saying.
But it's funny. See, I met this kid, and instead of making fun of my interests, he saw something special. All wrapped up in a crazy murder case. Been way too antsy about meeting my other self. And then there he is, worrying in my place.
I'm not. Tazi looked down Dad in the eye.
Ketchy, you don't gotta get all defensive with me. I ain't you senpai or any of the others. It's just me.
Kenzie's eyes slammed shut. No, no tears, no crying. He had to be better than that. He makes it sound so easy, but it's not. When everyone's at a comfortable arm's length, I can be cordial enough. I like to think I'm generally good at navigating social interactions, but I can't see myself having all of this. He gestured vaguely at their surroundings, with anyone else. You proved yourself because you saved me. There's nothing transactional about that. The others,
You need time. To be honest, I probably do too.
Kazi leaned back, resting his elbows on the table.
Don't get me wrong. It was nice passing things up with Yukio senpai. TH senpai's kinda cool. But I don't know if I'm ready to say they're my friends either. Don't know if that makes me a hypocrite for worrying so much.
Akechi shook his head. Rationally, your logic is sound. You see the good in me, so you think I'm deserving of friendship from those around us. It's not wrong to want your friend to be happy. By following that line of logic, more friends should lead to further happiness.
Yeah, guess it's just like I don't want to sound want you missing out, you know, shutting yourself off from people who could help you out. I'm just one guy, and while I'm happy to hang with you, I ain't as book smart as you or good at solving mysteries. I try to connect, but there could be someone out there with as big a brain as yours, just waiting to, I don't know, find a really good chess partner.
Heh, find a mess in chess. Marie-san wants to learn the game, but she's inexperienced. And it's true that if we have to find my intellectual equal, for what it's worth, I do value what we have. You and I have both been shunned one way or another. We both struggle to make connections. Perhaps that's why I gravitate to you so much. Fonzie elbowed him gently.
Yeah, well, maybe we both gotta take more chances. At least then, if we screw up, we both screw up. If we don't, we win.
Perhaps it's a more comforting outlook, I suppose. I lack of solitude, at least. I need time to think it over. My shadow was far more revealing than I expected. I need to mentally prepare myself.
I hear you. Still not sure what mine's gonna be like, but if you really need backup facing that guy, I say screw it. Take me with you. At least you have someone to ground you.
Even though he lacked a persona? No, that was a stupid question. Kazi had proven his loyalty 100 times over. You really are something else, Kanji-san. So brazen, so fearless, so kind. I'll consider it. Without a stable persona user, it's still a risky gambit.
Yeah, I get you. That means we're gonna have to pay nice with the others, friends or not.
Oh, that much I'm aware of. There's a reason I exchanged contact information in the first place. It was useful. That's all it was. An alliance out of necessity. But it'd be easier if I could face my shadow on my own terms. It was ready and willing to wait for me to sort out my feelings. You might not be so lucky. Kazi winced, rubbing his shoulder.
Guess so. Just hate not being able to do more, you know?
Oh, I know. Why do you think I badgered a gas station attendant for 3 days straight? He lifted his left hand for emphasis. But of course, I couldn't have it as easy as Narukami-san. Stupid main characterness. How lucky is he to have obtained a persona without shadow-related baggage?
Yeah, but focusing on what you don't have won't make you feel better.
Kazi slid down from the bench, stretching his back before turning to face Akechi.
You know what, mate? Beating the shit out of me.
Akechi scooted to the ends of the bench, leaning forward with a smirk. Well, Kazi-san, I didn't know you were such a glutton for punishment.
Hey, don't get the wrong idea. I just think a little sparring might help you get some of that stress out of your system. And we have been slacking on your training lately.
Lots happened these past few days. Fair enough. Akechi stood up, rotating his torso back and forth a few times before rolling his shoulders. A quick spar before we head back for the day.
That's the plan.
The two of them brawled for quite a bit. Monty remained on the defensive the entire time, egging Akechi to give his worst. Frankly, it was difficult to give all his first. I guess he would have rather taken his frustrations out on a punching bag or someone genuinely dislike. To Kazi's credit, he took Aketsu's punches and kicks rather well, blocking where appropriate and digging his heels into the grassy ground. His muscle physique allowed him to stand firm, while Ketsy's smaller stature and agility allowed him to keep weaving and sidestepping between Kanzi's own half-hearted strikes when he didn't grab, block, counter as Kanzi had taught him before. By the time he had headed back, sweat drenched the two of them. They clanked their water balls together and shared a laugh. Still, Kanzi couldn't help but ask,
So, feeling any better?
a little. A small smile graced Ketsy's lips. I'm starting to think I should invest in a punching bag or some other manner of target so I can take out my agitation on something inanimate.
Yeah, that's a little iceful fix. Gotta admit, though, you're improving.
Cassie rubbed at his side. Did I overdo it? Cassie waved his hand.
Nah, you're good at hitting it where it hurts. But you gotta remember that I tassel with street gangs.
Fair point. So Kenzie's gaze soon wandered to Kanzi's brow. Is that where you got your scar?
Yeah.
Kanzi brushed over his fingers over it.
See, that's the problem picking fights. You might get that rush of adrenaline. You might chase some off podcast bastards. But even a tough guy like me ain't invincible.
Was it painful? Kanzi wilted, nodding slowly.
Yeah, Mom freaked out when she saw the blood dripping down my face, too. But I don't regret doing it if it means keeping the area around our shop safe.
A far braver man than most, Kanzi-san. Decided to Dozima House closing in, made Ketsi slow his approach. I should probably spend a little time studying tonight. You'll be all right on your own?
Yeah, don't sweat, kid. It ain't too dark yet. Just try to take it easy, you know?
I'll try. No promises. His shadow was a rather daunting prospect, after all, and a part of him longed to remain with Kanji, if only to keep his mind off the TV world. Alas, the two parted ways before long. Though as Kanji departed, the mysterious voice said, Emperor, rank 8. How comparison? Interesting. In comparison to Teddy's rank, Kanji ranked much higher. But then again, the two had come a long way since they had met. Perhaps it was only natural their bond would dwarf the others. Rather than dwell on it, Akechi returned to his home. He soon found himself at the living room table, with Nanako study for his upcoming midterms. Still, she, on the other hand, had a little origami book on the table, as well as a stack of different colored and patterned paper. Her face scrunched up as she licked her lips, while her little hands took to the corners of one paper slip. Having trouble? Akechi asked, momentarily looking up from his textbook. She nodded. Just a moment. He set his pencils down, moving beside her. Any animal will do? Yeah, I figured since you're a detective, I should try a unicorn. Percy doesn't think most of our audience will get that joke. No, they won't. Not everybody's a fan of cyberpunk as I am. It is, but it's okay if you can't make it yet. Why don't we try something simpler to start? He went through the paces, stopping on a simple tutorial for making a fox. The accuracy was up for debate, but the shape was simplified. But he saw the way her eyes lit up. Now this one doesn't look too hard. Steve teared, clapping her little hands together. You can always show it once you turn in your assignment, or perhaps make another if it goes well. Annika leaned over the table, let's pulling to the side of her face as she slowly folded the corners. Yes, like that. You want to make a little triangle first, and then fold each point towards the center. He walked her carefully through the instructions until she eventually completed the basic step of the chibi fox. Annika muttered to herself, "Oh, I know. Hopping to her feet, she scurried down towards the kitchen table, snatched a pen and headed back. Of course, it being a fox, it also needs a ninja headband. Along the way, you stepped inside. She gave a cheery, thanks. You smiled as you watched Nanako sit back to the living room table. You're making origami? She held it up high, chin up and beaming. Ketchy looked away to hide her resulting blush. Not that he didn't appreciate the praise, but he just knew you would say something stupid to embarrass him. Upon joining the two at the table, he fetched a nice rosy sheet of paper. Don't worry about it. You'll get there, Nanako. He started folding. Cranes aren't too hard. They just require a few more steps, like this. As his origami began to take form, Akechi snatched his own seat rather impulsively. He couldn't help it. No way was he going to let you upstage him. Quite true, Narukami-san. And how kind of you to demonstrate. In fact, he could make his own crane, with blackjack and hookers, just to prove you wasn't the only one who could pull it off. Nanako watched the two of them with bright, starry eyes. Well, it just takes practice. You winked. And precision. Akechi also winked, then slipped a hand through his hair to be extra showy. They say if you fold a thousand cranes, your wish will come true. Though whether it's true or not is up for debate. Hugh's hands moved slightly too swiftly. Akechi was only a few folds in, and he had already finished one crane. He grabbed a second sheet of paper. You ever try it? Akechi tried to keep his pleasant smile locked in place as he focused on making a straight, elegant folds. I'm not one for superstition, but it is a charming thought. Does a few more folds, and there, a crane with a tight, pretty floral pattern. He handed it to Nanako. Wait a minute. If this was the proper Young Boss role, it should be Nanako who's folding the cranes, and it should be you who pays attention. After all, little Nanako would be a baby sister to him. Well, not gonna stop with the Code Geass jokes. You folks gotta realize, Code Geass is like one of my favorite anime. Deal with it. Then you had to hand his over too. Nanako's hands flew up to her cheeks. Her smile was so immense it threatened to consume her entire face. You're so pretty. Pretty birds for a pretty princess. You patted her head, and Nanako giggled. We can fix that. Already, you grabbed even more sheets of paper. 6 in total. Pleasant pastel shades. Want to learn how to put it together? Nanako moved over to the U side. A bear twinge of something, perhaps betrayal or jealousy, squeezed Akechi's heart. I'm your princess again. All he could do was maintain his increasingly stiff smile and say, You are always a princess to me, Nanako-chan. You can help if you want. You said, open, inclusive, and extremely unsufferable. Nonetheless, it looked bad if he refused. So he reluctantly joined in and grabbed some sheets on his own. Fine, but I will be judging your teaching skills. The combined efforts did, admittedly, complete the crown far quicker than it probably would have taken without Kenzie's involvement. A mix of patterned pinks, purples, soon adored Nanako's head, and she pulled him into a tight embrace that, yes, was sweet, comforting, even if it led him far closer to Yu Murakami than he would have liked. Ah, see, no matter what, Leos is always there for his little sister. On the pause side, he received a gentle confirmation. Justice, rank 6. Dinner soon followed, and once Akechi finished his meal, he swarmed up the stairs and grumpily crawled beneath his blankets. His shadow's words echoed in his mind. You struggle accepting others care about you, and you care about them too. I understand, of course. It feels too good to be true. Damn it, his own inner self being so sentimental. Then there was Teddy. Hey, Aki-chan, what's wrong with wanting friends? If that's the side of you that you hide, you must be very lonely. Loneliness wasn't an issue before. Better to be alone than when everyone around him looked down on his very existence. Better to be alone than to risk broken trust, abandonment, or worse, people with ulterior motives, eager to prey upon the young, the naive, broken, and bitter. Years of cynical impertinence, thrust from one city home to the next, never having the time to truly settle, make connections, to be happy. And now, everything had changed. Akechi wheezed out and laughed, covering his face with his pillow. This shouldn't have been so hard. A normal child would gladly accept the warmth and affection from others, wouldn't they? They have no qualms facing a shadow, or eager to be accepted, with nothing but kindness to taunt them. So why was it so frightening? The door opened. Hey, you good? Of all people. But no, it was inevitable. Not only because he and you were roommates, but because you was a bleeding heart, far too sentimental for his own good. Beneath his pillow, Akechi groaned, I'm fine. Then why do you have a pillow over your face? He could hear Yu's approaching footsteps. The couch creaked slightly as he presumably sat down. Akechi removed the pillow, scowling when he noticed the small droplets of moisture on the surface. The pillow is soft. That's all there is to it. What's this Akechi's for? Yes, there is a problem, but I'm too stubborn to talk about it. Akechi's, really? I'm a quick learner, and you're pretty easy to read. Like earlier today, you were hanging around the electronics department. Tenzin gripped Akechi, and his fingers dug into the pillow. I already told you I was out for a jog. But there was more to it, you can tell me. You leaned back, grabbing the remote off the table, flipping through the channels almost aimlessly. I'd rather hear what you have to say than just assume. Good. That means you're learning. Was the assassin warranted? Probably. You and Yosuke had already apologized and showed clear interest in moving forward while accepting Akechi as an ally. Objectively speaking, he could acknowledge the saint-like patience you surely possess to put up with all his petty snark. But allow me to ask you something, Narukami-san. What do you think I've been up to? I think there's a few things that don't add up. Your knowledge of what the TV world looks like, the burn on the scaffolding, the pocky, your face mask. Akechi squeezed the pillow again, tired this time. A rigid smile pinched his face. But Narukami-san, as I'm sure you're well aware, your friends haven't shown me the TV world. Sir, it's not like you had the power before, but if you did somehow attain it, I just hope you could be honest with us. Stopped flicking through the channels, stopping on a retro rerun of an earlier Phoenix Fairman series. The last thing any of us want is for you to get hurt. Then Akechi bristled. He quickly added, and that's not me saying you can't handle the other world. I just don't want you acting like you could prove that you can. Why wasn't you angry? He could have been outraged that despite his attempts at goodwill, would go behind his back, seek out the power, and secretly infiltrate the TV world. He was sharp. If he had already connected the dots, then it was just likely the others suspected as well. Perhaps Akechi shouldn't be tempted fate by hinting that he'd already been there, but it was so cathartic to smugly tease that he'd gotten the jump on him. Now, though, the smug satisfaction crumbled and flaked away. A cold dread gnawed down from within. Wouldn't it be easier if you was mad? Then Akechi could be mad. Anger was so easy, liberating even. It was a means to tear off smiling mask and yell and kick and scream and howl and revel in spite catharsis. There was no catharsis to be had here. He couldn't rub his powers in Yu's face if he already suspected it. And how much he looked forward to that before. Akechi peered at the TV screen, and the colorful masked heroes posing dramatically before launching into stylish martial arts against enemy combat swarms. A team, kinship, connections, all once so far from reach. Akechi dropped to the pillow on his chest, staring aimlessly at the ceiling. You say that like it's so easy. And that's just you putting your words between the lines that aren't there. You shook his head, turning to face Akechi more directly. It's not easy. I made you feel like you weren't good enough. Not just because of what I said, but the way I showed up here. The way I got powers and you didn't. Just like Yosuke. He admitted it all so sincerely. The urge to hug the pillow close gripped Akechi from within. Then so he had something to squeeze. But from Narukami? Not a chance. The urge went unfulfilled. His chest tightened, fingers dug deeper into the pillow, because grasping his chest would be still too vulnerable. You're quite observing, Narukami-san. A shame it took you this long to realize. Yeah, that's on me. I just didn't get you, and I guess I still don't. But I'd like to change that, if you're ever up for it. The walls of the room seemed to crawl closer, pushing him nearer and nearer to Narukami. Everything felt so small, the distance so short. Akechi's back arched. He gulped. Despite his earlier protests, squeezed the pillow. I'll think about it. That was more than he expected to say, but not a full commitment. He hadn't truly opened up. Better than a flat no. There's a warmth to Yu's voice that... Ugh, why was he so good at this? Being so affable, charismatic, comforting. And hey, no rush, all right? That was mildly reassuring, at least. That he didn't expect immediate acceptance or a complete change in attitude. Your patience is appreciated. Finally, Akechi slipped the pillow beneath his head once more, releasing the pent-up air from his lungs. And for whatever reason, as the episode went on, he mused almost absent-mindedly. I believe that season was utilized in a Blizzard Western release. They removed all the Japanese culture to replace with generic American high school. He didn't even mean to, but he started to drift off. He didn't even make it to the credits before sleep seized him once more.